Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our latest and very special episode of QuickBooks Labs. QuickBooks Labs, a fortnightly vlogcast designed to be the place to learn all about the world of QuickBooks and other accounting software. I'm one of your hosts, Simon Patrick, chartered accountant, owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, qualified QuickBooks Certified trainer, and also that QuickBooks chap on YouTube. And join with me, as ever, is my co-host, the one and only Ash. Hi, Ash. How's it going?
Fantastic, thanks, Aaron. Ash Beatson here, accountant / bookkeeper / app developer. Just started another YouTube channel as well. Tips in 60 seconds, so check that out when you get a chance.
Nice plug there, and definitely go and check that one out. Brilliant. So today's extra special because we have another special guest on the show. We've got Rachel for Accountancy, and we're going to go and invite her on in a few moments' time. So looking forward to that one. And then how does this work? I hear you all ask. Well, first and foremost, the time that we normally go out is 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's what we aim on a fortnightly basis. And the idea there, and that's 4 p.m. UK time. And the idea there that if you do have the chance to listen live, you get the chance to come and ask questions. So we do urge you all to get the opportunity to come and join us live, come and ask those questions and get all your questions about QuickBooks answered as you're going along. Also, don't forget as well that we have now live on our podcasting services around the globe. So why not go over and give yourself a follow on them as well if you fancy listening to us through the podcasting. So Ash, what's the agenda for today's show?
So we've got some news from the QuickBooks Connect virtual session, which was in the US last week. We've got more from our special guest, Rachel from Accountancy. I've got our little tip of the week which is auto reminders in QuickBooks. And then we'll throw it open. Any questions that come in, we'll do our best to get those answered.
Excellent. I think we need to get a drum roll for this tip of the week. I think it's getting to a point where that's what people are coming for now. They're coming for the tip of the week. You've got that pressure on now.
I know.
Each and every time. All right, brilliant. What we're going to do then, we're going to bring in our special guest. So round of applause, please, for Rachel. Hi, Rachel. How's it going?
Welcome, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, really good. Thank you.
So, Rachel, do you want to give a little bit of a sneak peek at exactly who you are, where you're from, and why are you here? Do you want to give any?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Rachel and I am the founder of Accountancy, and we are a female-led accountancy practice, and I specialise in working with female business owners, female entrepreneurs and influencers. I'm also the director of a company called Strivex, where we are much broader range accountants and tax advisors too.
Excellent, excellent. And you've also been an Ask the Expert as well. That's where people may have seen you from, is that right?
Yes. So I have had the pleasure of doing Ask the Expert with QuickBooks, really big QuickBooks fan. And yes, we work with all sorts of different cloud accounting packages, but we do have a soft spot for QuickBooks.
Not too soft spot for it, and we'll talk about that later. And then also finally, I hear Little Birdie tells me you're looking to do a YouTube channel as well, is that right?
Yes, so January 21 is going to be really exciting for us. So we're looking to broaden our horizons. So I'm currently dominating the accounting industry on Instagram, and we're looking to segue into YouTube to join Aaron and Ash in the accountancy space on YouTube. So we're really excited about that as well.
Excellent, and there's room for all of us by far. And also 21st of January, that's 10 days before the final. You've pushed it. That's a big ask there, isn't it?
No, January 21, like 2021.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought you meant literally the 21st.
That's very specific.
Actually down to a T. Your launch date.
We do not need that pressure in January.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's go into our first part then. So our first part of today was to give you all a bit of a sneak peek as to what may or may not be coming into QuickBooks. So we need to give a bit of a bit here about explaining exactly what this is, but we're going to talk about now what was announced over at QuickBooks Connect. Now, QuickBooks Connect itself is from the American side. So everything we're talking about now is what is definitely coming in the American product, but may and hopefully we would expect it to come over to the UK product as well. And there's some really exciting bits that we've seen to come through. So let me share my screen now and show you exactly one of the first bits that was announced over there. So let me just go and bring the share screen up. On button. There we are. Perfect. All right. Okay. So in front of you here was one of the first announcements. Right. Actually, I haven't got these in it. spoiler alert, no chronological order here. I'm just picking which photo comes first. So we'll go through. And this is a screen grab of the actual event itself. So here was what was presented on screen to us who was watching it live. And here is one of the options they brought through. Now, there's not much to go on here, but I can explain what it is they're talking about. And what they're trying to bring in is a better experience for people when it comes to estimates. So at the moment, the way that the estimate system works is in QuickBooks, you raise an estimate, you send the estimate out, but there's no interaction. There's no way of the end user deciding if they will accept that, or if they have any queries on it, or maybe if they want to change it or anything like that, or even pay anything relating to that estimate. What they're going to do here is they're going to give an opportunity for you to evolve that experience. And the first one is the ability for you to pay a fee part of that estimate. So basically securing that estimate. So you could say that there is I don't know, 10% of it is due now, or whatever connotation you want to come through. And it's going to give you the option to pay that. So that's great. But I think the big one, as I just quickly jump into the next one, is relating to this aspect here. Now, again, it's a little bit, we can't see too much because it's just a screenshot. But the idea here is it's going to give us as the ability of when we're creating estimates and sending those estimates over, going to give us a chance to have a bit more of an idea to make it exactly what our customer want. So we have the ability here to add in additional elements. We've got a chance here for clients or the end user, shall I say, to maybe ask questions about it or amend it or try and change it to what their particular specification is going to be. And it gives us an opportunity as well to add attachments when we send it out. So we can kind of enhance that estimate idea. And the whole part of this is to try and make it so that those estimates that are sent out are a little bit more interactive, and therefore, hopefully, fingers crossed, there's a chance that then more of those will get accepted and you'll get more work out of it. So we'll go to Ash first. What do you think to this first little change?
Yeah, I think that looks great, actually, because what I'm guessing there is that that particular picture that you have up there would be part one of sort of creating your estimate, requesting that $300 deposit, which then feeds through to the recipient, where they could then pay the $300 against that initial estimate. So yeah, that is much needed, because like you say, at the moment, the estimates sort of sit there and sometimes it's a while before we do anything with them.
Yeah, exactly. I just think because I don't know if you've ever used any of the third-party solutions to do this already. I don't know if you've ever played around with them, but there's Invoicey is one of them that's really, really popular. But it is something that I think is, as soon as we can get this in, I can see a lot of clients getting benefit out of this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Rachel, do you have any opinions on this? And out of curiosity, from being as a bit of a Xero fangirl, as we'll come on to later, is there anything like this in Xero that, because I'm not aware of it, but I'm happy to be told otherwise.
Yes, you can quote from Xero, and I think one of the things I've always really preferred in the Xero function is that you can almost like track the quotes, convert them into invoices, and this really looks like QuickBooks have stepped up the game and are sort of competing against that. And it feels like QuickBooks are sort of changing the narrative around who their customer is and what that customer looks like. And this kind of feels like it's pitching more towards sort of self-employed builders, roofers, like we call them the subbies, the subcontractors, and it feels like they're pitching this much more towards them. Whereas before we traditionally would see those clients come on board to us generally with Xero. So it feels like they are pitching towards that quote, proposal, move on to acceptance, move on to invoice, and have everything set up. So I really like it. It feels really competitive. It's great.
Okay, and just to clarify though, in the product at the moment, we can raise an estimate, and then we can convert it to an invoice. So we do have that. But yeah, that's interesting you say that though about Xero being more pushed towards the subbits, because and this is only from kind of my point of view though. It's like Xero almost seems a little bit overkill for that sort of clientele, and if that's what's bringing them in, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think Xero did a lot of work a couple of years ago, sort of pitching to the modern builder with an iPad in his hand, sort of being able to quote on the job and actually be able to have the like analytics of being able to track the quote. So you get a notification when your customer opens it, and being able to integrate payment methods has been, I'd say, probably given in the edge, which is why this is really exciting. So be able to like integrate your payment methods and request payment as part of accepting a quote is brilliant. So I'm really excited to see this.
Cool. Ash, you got anything else on there? I knew you were about to jump in.
No, I'm just agreeing. So you're fine. Move on to the next one, Aaron.
Yeah, wicked. But that's really interesting. So yeah, so let's hope when this product comes live. Well, first of all, let's hope it comes to UK. There's no announcement it's coming to UK anytime soon. But tend to be that when something happens in the US product, within time we do get it over to UK. So let's hope it does come through, and let's hope it's something we can utilize. Okay, the other one I wanted to bring in, and I absolutely find this a bit of a game changer. I need to make sure I find the right photo. So this is given a photo of where it's coming from, basically. So a bit of a story here. So I don't know if everyone's been aware of it or seen it. We've definitely talked about it on this show before, but there is the introduction of the month-end review. Now, within the American QuickBooks Connect, they were very much kind of showcasing it as a brand new feature, which I don't know if that means it's only just been announced in the US as well as it has in the UK. So maybe that it's the fact that we got it as day in, day out as we got the announcement. We both got it at the same time. But one of the things that looks or is exciting to see is the fact that it looks like there is definitely going to be some improvements to that product already. So we really like the month-end review. We find it that it's a great idea for us as accountants to be able to go in, be able to look at the data and be able to give an opportunity to go and say that data is correct, or at least seems correct, and do some really clever ways in which we can look at it and be able to go in there. Now, one of the things they promised is the ability that coming forward is there's going to be more of an analytical, more of an AI-driven check to these month-end reviews, which is something me and Ash, I don't know if you remember, Ash, we were talking about the other day, about how it's very similar to how the smart scan or smart check would work in the VAT section, and be able to bring them sort of cleverness in there. So the ability where we can go and have that information coming in that's going to help us think about it and be able to look at that data and look at it in more of a way where we can get confidence in it. And that's what it's all about, getting confidence in the data that's there. But one of the things...
Sorry,
go for it.
Does this screen incorporate the tagging that we were talking about the other day, Aaron?
Oh, exactly. Not yet. I mean, this is something that...
It feels like this would be the right place.
Yeah, so you have the option to bring tagging in. So we do have that opportunity to do it. And that's one of the things where the UK QuickBooks Connect, I did a month-end review video for them. And in that, we talked about how month-end review is really, really good. And we incorporated tagging directly in there. And so you'll see at the bottom here, there's this additional items just at the bottom here. So you can put anything you want there, which includes the tagging area. So we do promote that as something that should go in. But it's all about looking things like eagle-eyed people will see there's duplicate transactions just there, which we don't have now in the month-end review, but we do have in the smart scan. So it's the ability to bring things like that in here. And by far the most exciting part of this, and yeah, I really am, I've shown that I can't find the right screen.
Aaron is building suspense today.
Oh no, there it is, right. So here, the same sort of idea. So we're looking at our month-end review, but notice how you get to tick those boxes, and there's a new action button just here, and also a reclassify option. So what they're doing here is they're giving us the option that when we're doing those month-end reviews and we find something, we then have the ability to adjust it there and then, instead of before where we've had to either go to reclassification module, play around there, or we've had to go into the individual transactions and do it from there. We now have that ability to be able to, just like we do on our bank where we do batch actions, we get to tick those boxes, and we get to what's good here. We get to delete or void, which we've always been able to do, but we get to do en masse, or we get to reclassify directly from this screen. So we're not having to go out to the reclassification module, find the transactions again and reclassify. And a really big one is this ask client. So the idea is, instead of us having to go, and this has been something we've talked about a lot, especially on my channel, about the idea that if you've got a problem with a client, at the moment, what you've got to do is get a pen and paper, write down 10th of the 18th, 20, write down £65.35, as it says here, write down the person, write down all that stuff to then compose an email to send that email off for the client then to come back to you on that.
So old school.
Exactly. The whole point of this is that those transactions, those individual transactions, already hold that information for you. So they're going to use that information to send that to the client for you to then ask. And I don't know if I grabbed the right screenshot, but basically the next screen from here is where you can compose what it is you're asking the client. So we'll go with Rachel first on this one. What do you think to that?
This is amazing. Like you said, absolute game changer. I assume this is just available in the accountants module.
Yeah, so month-end review at the moment is accountants only view, which is something we're umming and ahhing if it's the right thing to do or not, because it's almost the ability for us to give this as a client, like, please go and do this before you file a VAT return, please go and do this before you do something, whatever it's going to be, could actually be quite powerful, especially when so that section at the bottom, you don't just have the ability to add to go to the tags or add to go to anything else. You can actually say post this journal, and you click it to bring up the journal they need to post. So things like month-end transactions and items like that, you can actually start to automate a little bit for clients and give them a checklist so they can go through and make sure it's all done.
Yeah, so this layout of this almost seems like it could be a client checklist, and like to be able to give them certain accounts or certain things that you want them to keep an eye on, like their director's loan account, can you just check it on a monthly basis if there's a lot of transactions that are going through there? Like, it seems really, really valuable.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those where I can't imagine it's going to change overnight, but I'm hoping there'll be some form of client version of this at some point, especially with this time last year, the whole whole talk was about gamification of this all. So what their ultimate kind of goal is, and hopefully it's still there, is the idea that they want to bring it so that you're going to get scored of how well you've done. How well are you keeping your books? You'll get a score out of 10 or whatever it's going to be, an A or a B or whatever it's going to be. And that idea that you're trying to keep on top and try and beat that score each time, hopefully is a way of being able to kind of push it forward. Ash, what do you think to that one?
Yeah, I think that this is a fantastic tool, and sort of as both you and Rachel have just said about, is this just for accounts? Is it just for clients? See, I wear two hats. I don't sort of do much sort of within the accounting, bookkeeping practice world anymore, but I've still got one sort of large client, and I visit them sort of as their outsourced management accountant. Now, I'm quite lucky because I still have an accountant account, so I access their QuickBooks as an accountant. So I have all of these tools, but I would be really missing them if I didn't. So, these things, as a management accountant, I'm going there and do the review. So it would be nice, even if I wasn't a practice accountant, but as a management accountant in industry or whatever, to still have some of this month-end functionality, because it's pretty important in a larger business. I was going to say something else. It'll come back to me. So I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, Ash, here's that. I don't know if you can see it very well. I don't know how well it's coming out on screen, but here's that breakdown of what you're sending to clients. So I think that's the biggest game changer out of all this, isn't it? Is that we're always looking for ways to save time, and to me, this is one of the biggest ways to save time there could be.
Absolutely, and this is a good example, really, when as the management accountant, sort of the book, doing the books, looking at stuff. So the particular business I'm thinking of, have sort of half a dozen credit cards. So the sales director, the owner, they've got their credit cards and they spend stuff, and then we upload the credit card statements, we work through them. Usually there's half of the receipts on there, so we just get posted to uncategorized until we know exactly what they're for. Whereas, if that's there, I could just immediately message them and say, we're missing these receipts. Now, I've got a bit of a workaround on that, actually, because anything that gets posted to uncategorized, or I think we call it missing credit card statements, missing credit card transactions, goes into a code there. And I've got an automated weekly report that goes out. So anything that's been posted to missing credit cards, an email gets sent out that just says, these are the transactions that have been entered over the last month. Can I have the receipts, please? So that's the workaround.
No, that's clever, and that's the thing. There is workarounds for most of these, isn't there? But having it so that it's available to everyone is actually quite a big thing, isn't it? And I think that's where this starts to really come into play, where every accounting firm on the planet, when they've got the opportunity to go into month-end review and just tick those boxes, they're going to get the advantage of it, aren't they?
Does it bring in a risk of not engaging your brain?
That's one of the first things I thought of when it looked in. I think you're right, because I think there is that ability, isn't there, where especially junior members of staff, they may just and I think it's a lot to do with kind of how we start teaching and we start kind of bringing staff on and bringing them in this whole new world where we've got to start taking into account that we've got to start taking into advantage of that, where people can, at the moment, they see what's in QuickBooks and they're taking it for granted, and I think we've just got to try and teach people that that's not going to be the way, and there's got to be
but you still have to engage the brain and do the investigative side as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, let's hope that common sense prevails on that one. But yeah, I generally can't wait for that one. And there's one more update to the month-end review. It's a bit of an easier, more difficult one to see on this one. But the month-end review is going to give you the opportunity then not only to, and the way they positioned it was that you've done the work for a client. So how do you show that you've done that work? How do you show your value for going through a month-end review, keeping things tidy and keeping things up to date? And the way they've looked at it is that there'll be a monthly performance report that you generate as part of that month review. So the more eagle-eyed of you will notice at the top here, there's an extra one here, client reports, just here. And when you go into client reports, it will come into this screen here. And then it's about trying to standardize what reports need to be sent so you can put it all into one area and then get it sent off to clients. What do you think to that one, Ash?
Yes, I love all of this stuff, and I love the reporting. I just come back. I sort of changed tack slightly. We were talking about the scoring system. You know, someone's doing really well. I think that would be great if I was in practice, because anyone that was scoring an A, I'd know how much to charge them. Anyone that was on like a D minus, I think actually their charges are going to go up a little bit. So you could score, if you're basically there to be the advisor and not the bookkeeper, because when I was in practice, I don't really want to do people's books and do lots of tidying up. I want to look at a report and give them some advice of what they should and shouldn't do in their practice. If I've got to spend 3 or 4 hours actually tidying up their bookkeeping, then that's not really best use of my time. So if they're going to score badly, then it's going to cost them more. So they could be emailed basically say, based on your scores, your monthly fee is now going to increase by 15%.
As long as we don't get to a point where we're scaring clients to death and they're worried every month about what their report's going to be for their accountant. Am I going to get an A or a D? As long as we stay away from that, I think that's great point there. Rachel, what do you think to this monthly performance report?
I think, like you said, Aaron, I think some people that we encounter, like maybe if they've not quite had an accountant before, can sometimes struggle to really see the value in what accountants do, or like they have a lot of questions about what are you actually going to be doing for me on a monthly basis. And I think actually this is a really good sort of way to bridge the gap and actually be able to give something tangible to clients that maybe do need a bit more reassurance that you're there all of the time. So I think you phrased it perfectly by saying it adds value in the accountant, and it's a way to document and show the work that we're doing.
Yeah, exactly right. And the more that we can push that, the better, isn't it, on that one? So, and I love the fact that QuickBooks are thinking about that for us, and it's like they're taking our comments on board.
Yeah, what Rachel said there is absolutely right, because sometimes, especially new clients that may be new in business, they don't know what an accountant does, and they don't always appreciate that you have had to spend quite a lot of time in doing things. So by actually giving them something, these reports, they sort of have more appreciation of all the work that's been involved, so they can look at things, and instead of just actually having one set of accounts once a year, and they're paying something all the way through the year, maybe if they're on some sort of subscription, at least they could be getting something, even if it's an automated report once a month or quarter.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, so the next bit that we want to just draw to attention of what could be, or what is changing, shall I say, is going to be all to do with this section here. Now, it's a bit more tricky to kind of explain what's going on here, but for the eagle-eyed of you, you'll notice that this is the bank section and what we class as the receipts and rules section now. So hopefully I'm still logged in. Am I still logged in? Yes. So what if we kind of see how it looks now, at the top here we have banking, rules, receipts, and now tags. And tags is something that's only just arrived. We look back at this screen here, we have banking, or bank transactions, they class it. Receipts is over here, but notice they say documents now, which is something I'll come on to in a minute, and then rules as well. And now they've brought in app transactions. And the idea of app transactions is to try and bring in those third-party solutions. So in this case, they're showing Amazon as the Amazon business account as an example, and try and bring it in and replicate it almost like a bank account within QuickBooks. So the idea is those transactions are going to come in into something that you know how to use, you're comfortable with using them, and you can bring them in and put them in by there. So it should give you an opportunity then to kind of bring in those transactions and be able to just use the same logic and use the same methodology if you've dealt with the bank, and almost treat them like a bank account. So Ash, I think it was you next, wasn't it? What do you think to that one?
Well, I mean, I think this is brilliant because, just like you said, Aaron, people are familiar with using the banking area. And, I'm sure between us, we've done similar things before where we've been able to log into a client's Amazon account and download transactions into a CSV. We've taken that and we've uploaded it into a bank because that's, we know how to do it. We can do it pretty quickly and dealt with the transactions. So having to remove all of that sort of faffing around, and you've got them just in there. I think that is a fantastic, development there for things like Amazon and PayPal and the like.
Yes. And Rachel, do you think it's going to be an easy sell to clients to kind of almost treat them as bank accounts and try, or at least explain to them it's a little bit like a bank account?
Absolutely. I think it's like QuickBooks have looked at how someone's brain works when they're reconciling a bank account. So you go through the rules first, tick, 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 get them cleared out of the way. Then you look at what receipts and documents you've got to be able to match them off really easily, tick, 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 tick. Then you go down the app transactions and you match them all off. And then you're just left with like the fiddly one-off bits. So in terms of like actual processing speed, this is amazing. And you're giving the client all of the tools and all of the integration to be able to just fly through that really, really quickly.
Definitely.
Love it.
Go for it.
No, I said I love it.
Yeah, and I think I wonder how regulated this is going to be. So it's almost like, obviously, with the banking side of things, we had open banking that came in. I wonder if at some point we're going to have some way or somewhat of thing. But I suppose it's all down to opt-in app and the APIs and everything else that goes with it. So hopefully it doesn't get too regulated too soon. But this, to me, will just solve so many problems we have in terms of getting that information and getting that stuff to clients.
Yeah, the collaboration between Amazon and an accounting platform would be a complete game changer. I don't know if it's just the race to who would get there first, but for Amazon to integrate directly rather than through a third party would be a complete game changer for QuickBooks, and I would be really, really excited to see that.
And it makes sense, doesn't it? There's no reason why. It makes sense for it to work for both ways. It just
they're the hardest transactions to reconcile. Like when you're in a client's bank account, you're like, Amazon could literally be a light bulb, a paperclip, or a new TV. Like I have no idea. They're the hardest ones to reconcile. Definitely.
Yeah. And the easier we can get that, the better. So the way that they kind of showed this as well, just to kind of give you see how it's got descriptions there. So it's actually going to split down those items for you, bring them in there line by line, and make it really easy and wonderful for you. So yeah, can't wait for this one. Like you've already said about the rules, integrate the rules in there, make it so that anything below 50 quid goes to this, and everything above we can then look at in more detail. Automatically attached receipts. It's going to be beautiful. So we notice here it said receipts and documents. Documents themselves is all about the idea of bringing in bank accounts into the receipt capture. So again, this is one that you expect not to be an issue these days, don't you? You kind of think that this isn't going to be something that we'll have as many a problem as we do, but there's still clients out there, there's still people out there who are struggling to get their bank attached to their QuickBooks or to the Xero or whatever it's going to be.
Or like when you've had like bank feed glitches throughout the year and you're trying to get accounts, like you still have to request the final bank statement to check that, we still do it.
Exactly. So it's going to be a two-way street, this one. The idea is that we can bring in a bank statement from the bank connection, so that's great. But also, if you send a bank account or bank statement into the receipt capture, the idea then is it's going to take that and then bring it into QuickBooks for you. Now, there are third parties that do that for you. AutoEntry is a great example. Send a PDF document to them, they convert it for you, and they give you a chance to go through. But again, you're having to use a third-party solution to get to the answer, to get it in there. The idea here is we send the bank statement to them, and they convert that into thing and put it into QuickBooks. Now, it'd be great to test this. You know, how clever is it? Can it notice the fact that there's X amount of transactions that we're missing, and it only brings in those X amount of transactions, or what? That's what I'm excited to have a go at this. So I've lost track now. I think it was Rachel was next. What do you think to this one?
I like this, and I think, I'm sure you're the same. Some clients really don't like. They're happy to outsource some parts of their business to third parties, but actually, in order to like upload a bank statement to a third party, they're really not comfortable with. So, in order to be able to like direct link this through the bank feed, I think it's really, really good. I think that provides a security that people are really looking for. So, yeah, really excited about this.
Definitely. And Ash, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is great, and I watched the sort of QuickBooks Connect sort of video this morning actually when they were demonstrating some of this, and it was really good in the month-end review feature where you've got the tabs across the top, and one of them is going to be reconciliations, and where on some of the banks, like in the US, they said they've got 2,800 banks that use this feature now.
Wow.
Where as soon as the bank is connected, these statements will auto feed through. So where you're doing your reconciliations, you literally just click on a little tab and the statement will be there available. So you've already had the feed, but at least you've got the statement to back it up. So I think that is going to be a really good, fantastic tool, because as we know, even though we've done all the bank feed stuff, when you're doing your accounts at the end of the year, usually you just want to see that statement for confirmation.
You just need to see it.
We need proof.
No, definitely, and it's one of those as well where we're getting to that point where clients are confused, aren't they? Like, well, why do you need to see it when you've already got it? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. What was the other one? Oh, okay. So there was this is again with I don't know if you've come across this yet in the QuickBooks ecosystem in the American one, but the workflow, or the task, should I say, has started to get some more extra sweeties to it. So tasks at the moment in the American version is something that's only available for the advanced users, and the idea is you do something and then you can set it to do something else. So as an example, you could say that if I send an invoice out to send a reminder email or whatever it's going to be, or if I need an approval process, which is what they've started to add in here, then that's where the approval process comes in. And that's always been something that Xero's had from day one. They've had that wonderful approval process where you can create a transaction, you then need to get it physically approved before it can then be actioned. And this is what they're trying to do here. And it's going to be integrated into the app. It's going to have that sort of workflow. So the idea is that we will get some form of approval solution coming straight in. What do you think to that one?
I think it's amazing. I think I'd say the task section in terms of QuickBooks is probably only if they entered a chat function so that like members of the finance team could actually chat to each other. They probably eliminated the need for things like Teams and like Google Meet. In terms of like being able to spread a workflow, be able to approve things, have conversations. I think, if they put a chatbot in there as well, people would be completely eliminating third-party software. So yeah, this is great.
Yeah, definitely. And I wonder, if that's where they're going with this, if that's kind of where that advanced feature is all about.
Like, this is the center of the business.
Yeah.
Where everybody's coming.
Exactly. And it does make me wonder, because they've got to find a way to really sell that advanced functionality, because if the price points follow suit to what's in America to what they are here, that's going to be a huge jump, and it's going to be something they're going to have to give a lot of extra sweeties to be able to entice more people over.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's wicked. And then final one, I think it was where's it gone? It was all to do with this whole push into the third-party element. So what they're trying to do is get as many integrations as they can. Now, a lot of these happen via third-party apps at the moment, but you've got your Salesforce, your HubSpot, your Bill.com, your Learn Law. I don't know who Learn Law is, but I've come across the rest of them. But the idea then is they want to have more deeper integrations. And the app, and it's back on this screen here, you'll see there's a Salesforce element down there, and they're trying to really push that aspect to bring them in. So that'll just be a nice little feature. Yes, we can do it on the App Store, but with the App Store, we're telling two softwares to talk to one another. This is trying to be a bit more of a deeper integration where you can, like kind of Rachel was kind of alluding to there, you have the ability to actually take the whole of that solution and just be in QuickBooks and do whatever you need to do from there. So yeah, it's exciting. I think that's a really good one. So yeah, a little bit thing on time, so we'll leave it there. But that, I think there's some really good aspects there that's going to come through and really help and look at things going forward. So yeah, good news. Anything else on that one before we move on?
Actually, I'll just sort of touching back to the what's it called, the top version of QuickBooks,
the advanced version.
QuickBooks Advanced,
yeah.
Out of my head. So again, coming back to me as the person that works as almost like the financial controller in a telecoms business. Now, if I had a chat with the director, the owner, because I think we wouldn't have a problem with paying £100 a month for that type of license, because I looked at the videos earlier when they were demonstrating it, and the integration with Fathom looked really good, and looking at those key performance indicators, quite easy to do it directly within QuickBooks without having to actually load up another app. It just felt like you were just learning an extension of QuickBooks instead of actually having to learn a completely new app. And for different business sizes, so as you go into businesses where the turnover is a lot more, they'd be prepared to pay that. So it's not going to be for every client. It's not going to be for your builder, your subcontractors, I'm sure. But for those that, within large franchises and different things like that, I think they would be prepared to pay, but they've just got to target it to the right people.
Oh yeah, I'd say for some people with the right processes in place, this is almost like outsourcing half the role of a management accountant. If it's giving you sort of like crunch board level analytics and data, and you know that the data that's been put in is right, this is really going to bridge the gap between people who need more information but are trying to really, really condense and streamline their business. I think, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I think for anyone who's savvy enough to know what the benefits will bring, I think they'll jump on it straight away. But I'm just concerned that there's not, or it's going to be a difficult sell as us as advisors to go, this version that costs you X amount isn't going to be right for you. You're going to have to spend 3 times as much as that to get to the right version. And I think that's where we need as much collateral and much kind of sweeters to say, look, this is the reason you're going to be spending that much money, is because you're going to get this, and this. And then it should be easy for us to sell it on and kind of advise people to be on the right platform.
So do we think, obviously we're all accountants that are very like pro information, pro knowledge, pro education. Do you think this is going to sort of like create a bit of a divide in the industry between accountants that want to keep all of that information to themselves and sort of do all of the management information and charge people a lot of money, and then the accountants like us who are like, this is the information, we can train you? Do you think that's going to, because I can really see that happening, like,
and there's
quite proactive and really encouraging clients to learn a lot and know as much as us, whereas a lot of accountants aren't like that.
No, and you're exactly right. And I think you put the nail on the head. And I think QuickBooks Live is another version of that. So for clarification, QuickBooks Live is that whole aspect of having a bookkeeper just be able to actually attach yourself to QuickBooks, and they call it as the ability to just be able to quickly call upon an expert. But you're right, that's the same issues there, and either as an accountant you're going to embrace that and you're going to bring that in and you're going to use that as part of your arsenal, and you're going to like we want to, or you're going to shy away from it and be scared of it and have that divide. And I think you're right. I think there is going to be that there will be a completely linear approach to one side versus the other, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that kind of comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with what Rachel's just said, because when I was actively in practice, I was pretty much sharing everything with clients. I didn't really want to do the bookkeeping. Let me show your wife how to do it. And most of them are really, really good at it. Really good at it. Once you're just showing them a few things, and they just, okay, oh, that's great. They just come back to you when they're not sure on something. You show them how to do something, they've got it sorted. And it'll be the same with, when you start sort of showing them different reports or you automate it. But like you said, there are some accountants which think, no, that is mine. I cannot, I've been earning £3,000 a month off of you for the last so many years. And now if I show you how to do it, I can't charge you. So I think there is going to be a change. And I've actually, I've thought it for the sort of last 6 years that I've been involved with QuickBooks. And I've said for a very long time that the industry will change dramatically still over the next sort of 5 or 10 years.
And I think 2020 is what has pushed people over. Like and I know Aaron is, we have never, ever been busier. I think 2020 has been a time for people to really reflect, and location's not really a barrier for people anymore. So the top two are now quality and service. And if you're an accountant and you're a practice and that's what you do best, your phone's going to ring off the hook. And I know ours has, I know Aaron's has. People are looking for quality and service. They're looking for people that empower them and train them to know their numbers, be confident in their business. And accountants that see the business owners as the most valuable asset are accountants that do really well. So yeah, I think 2020 has been the turning point, and I'm really excited to see what happens next for the industry.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's a shame it's been this year the way it has, but it's just put a lot of reflect into it, hasn't it? And I think people have just seen it as where it is. So yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. Okay, then. So the next on the agenda was us actually now going to, what's the word? We're going to interrogate you, Rachel, on your process. And you've kind of segued into it perfectly there, into kind of what you're doing differently and everything else. I mean, it's something that I know a lot of people will be really interested in, and I don't want you to give away too many of the trade secrets here, so we're going to keep it nice and light. But what I just want to know is, and if I bring up, it's just your website. So, and I know you're pretty proud of this website, so it's pretty happy. But it's more about this engagement down here. So this is your social media, just a snapshot of it without kind of going into all the different platforms and everything.
I can see that. There's pink and dungarees.
But the idea though is, and you've said it yourself in the intro, you've got that way of being able to basically take hold of the social media space and actually, as an accountant, make it so it's relevant to people, so they're interested in it and actually engage in it, which as an accountant is unheard of. Actually putting content out there that people engage with. We're happy enough to think that we can just press the send button, get it out there, and it's done. But actually, you've got that secret sauce there where you get engagement. So again, no trade secrets or anything. But what is it? First of all, how did you notice that there was a big gap there? And then what do you feel like you're doing differently? Really interested to know.
I'd say the first thing is probably a bit of a spoiler. I'm currently doing an MBA, so I'm currently doing a master's in business whilst running the business. So I definitely think that sort of empowered me and given me all of the tools to really make very strategic decisions in terms of market positioning. Yeah. But in terms of social media strategy, and I know that Aaron has looked at this a lot, and Aaron's doing a very, very, very similar thing on YouTube, is sort of to go where your customers are. And it's basic marketing, but go where your customers are. So I specialize in working with female entrepreneurs and influencers. They're on Instagram. And again, I think part of the snowball effect that we've seen in 2020 is that a lot of small businesses that have started in 2020, their go-to piece is Instagram. That's why they're selling. They're selling through Etsy, or they're selling through like Shopify, but that is basically driven from an Instagram platform. So we're going where our customers are. I'd say top tips in terms of like running a platform that's very successful. The top thing for me is to just be consistent. Like, we've never outsourced any part of our social media, and I do everything. And I think that's really important because it gives people you are looking through the window into the firm. It's not the rose-tinted glasses version. Like, this is what we're doing. This is the content that we're writing. And then when you DM us on Instagram to see if because it's now December and people are terrified about their tax returns. Like if you DM us in December and you're being really frantic, you'll either get me sending you a voice note back, or it'll be me replying to you in a very consistent manner, and in the same way, in the same wording, and the same emojis that I use on my Instagram posts. Then when they book a meeting with me online at a time that suits them, it's me that shows up on the call, and I am very consistent with the person that's posting, the person on the stories, the person in the DMs, and the person in the meeting. And I think for us, that's the biggest thing, because I think, especially when you do work in a technical industry, I really don't want anyone else doing the social media, because I want to be there at the end of the phone in order to answer anyone's questions. And Aaron, I'm sure you're the same. Like, I get a lot of like technical questions in my inbox, like, can you help me with this? And sometimes if it's a quick 5-minute answer, I will just answer the question. And I think that's where you capture people's trust. At the very first step is being able to answer their questions. So I think being consistent and being honest and like really showing some personality in an industry that has previously been dominated by what we call the stale pale male, which is middle-aged men that wear suits. It's Aaron.
I'm still here, don't we? Carry on.
My stale pale male broke Aaron's camera.
He took offence, I think.
So he's not that old.
He turned it off. So I think in an industry that has been dominated by a stereotype, it's really fun to just smash the stereotype, be a young woman in my 20s and be fun and run a Halloween series that's like, are you being ghosted by your accountant? Or is your accountant a trick or a treat? And it's fun, and it's an industry that's dominated by people that take themselves too seriously. And it is a serious industry, it's a serious profession. I am a serious person, but I don't take myself too seriously. And I think that's what people are buying into, is just a bit of personality, and it's quite fun.
Oh, is Aaron still there?
I thought he was just really enjoying what I was saying.
I think Aaron might have just frozen, but no, that's what you've sort of said there, Rachel, sounds fantastic, because some people do take themselves too seriously, and actually, as you said, accountancy is a serious business. People need to make sure that their figures are right at the end of the day. But if it is made dull and boring, then people aren't going to engage, are they?
I think that's the thing as well, like in terms of managing your own social media, because again, it's my fiance and I that run the wider limited company, and it's a very, very fine line between not taking yourself too seriously and actually being a bit unprofessional on social media. So it's quite hard to, not hard, it's a delicate line to be able to be fun and engaging on social media whilst also being quite a serious person when we're doing technical work. So it's about like balancing that really well, and it's working, and we absolutely love it. And by the time clients actually speak to you, they feel like they know you, and they've already got a bit of a gist of what the company's about and what your personality is. So have we lost Aaron?
I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. He may have had to just log out, and he'll be back with us in a moment. I just don't know whether I can share my screen. I'm going to try and click share my screen, but I think Aaron has to do something in the background before it actually changes. I think Aaron will have to come back. So I was going to give our sort of tip of the week, where I need to share my screen with that. I'm just thinking what else I can ask you, Rachel. While I was waiting for her to make a reappearance. Actually, I can look down our questions that we've got so far. I've got a question from Marta. Has a question about can we advise why there are no bills? So this would be the bills in the mobile app as opposed to bills with QuickBooks. I think Aaron's on his way back in. Marta, just coming back to your question there. So you've got the mobile phone app, but it has limited functionality. So you can't do everything on your mobile phone that you can do within the browser version of QuickBooks. So you can do a lot of it, probably 60–70%. But when it comes to supplier bills, you will need to log in to the browser to see them. So you can use your receipt scan to take a picture of a supplier bill. That's just going to go into your receipts area. When you convert it to a supplier bill, you will need to log into your browser. So that's just one of the sort of limitations on there at the moment. Are you back with us, Aaron?
I am indeed. Apologies for that one.
That's fine.
Died.
Okay. Just before I go back to the other questions, I wanted to go back to my little quick tip. Can you share my
Certainly can.
screen? Can you? Thanks, Aaron. So my little quick tip for this week, just in case anyone's never used it, is just the auto invoice reminders within QuickBooks. So it's, I won't say it's a new feature, but it's not been in there ages. And in fact, I think it was sort of released in sort of stages. So not everybody had it straight away. So I kept looking, this is just a sample company. I kept looking at it or looking for it, but it was never there when actually I went to look until fairly recently. So if I go into my company settings, and it always is a little bit slow when we're going through the StreamYard. And if I do come in to my, is it sales? There we go. So in the sales tab, and then we've got within our reminders, auto invoice reminders. And if I just open this up, you can switch this feature on. It will only kick in when you start creating new invoices. So any existing invoices, it won't have any effect. And you can create up to, I think it's up to three reminders. So you can actually set a first reminder. So maybe you're on 30, 60-day terms. So you might set the first reminder number 1 to go out, let's say 5 days before the due date. Then you might set reminder number 2 to go out on the due date. And then you might set the third reminder to only go 7 days after it was due. So you've got those reminders. If people haven't paid you, this is automatically going to get sent out. You can send your own little bit of text, so you can edit the text below, what your wording wants to be within there, and you can obviously make sure that you have a copy sent to your email if you wish. But it's a nice feature. So it's not as extensive as some of the sort of third-party apps like Chaser, where you've got much more sort of detail to put in there. But as a free inclusion within QuickBooks, it's costing you nothing to switch it on. It's well worth having a look in there. That will send you instant reminders for you every time you want it to go out. So reminders before or on the day or after your invoices. So I thought I should point that one out to you.
That was really good.
I do. I like it. I think the one thing we've got to tell people, though, is, or at least remind people, is that this reminder is only as good as you keeping up on top of your banking. It's the only time when that can throw us.
Yeah, absolutely. Good shout, Aaron. Yeah, if you're behind with your bank reconciliations, well, there's no excuse really with online banking. If you're behind with your bank recs and you've not allocated those payments, then you might end up with some unhappy customers when they sort of shout back to say, I paid 3 weeks ago. I'll stop sharing. I don't know if we've got a couple more questions that we want to take a look at.
Yeah, and before we go on to the question, just one other point for Ray. I know I rudely dropped out there. So
I did your mail and then it just booted you off, Aaron.
Completely gone. Yeah, but the one thing I wanted to kind of point out there was really interesting that you talked about how definitely not outsourcing Instagram or social media, should I say. And that is something we learned as an organization from the very beginning. Like, don't do that. Don't do it, because we were outsourcing it and we were getting no results, and it was because it was all this generic, like we've kind of touched on. But I also find that now that we're doing it ourselves, and I wonder what your opinion is of this. Now we've done it ourselves. What is it that don't you find that you're now getting more of a kind of conversation with clients because you've been there, done that, and you're going through the same problems they are, and it's like you're on the same grind as they are in terms of trying to get followers and likes, engagement, everything else? How have you found that one?
Yes, I think the first thing is you're absolutely right. It's about trust, and we are an industry where it's not just if you're interested in price point, like we're probably not the right people for you. Like our industry is absolutely based on trust, and if you can kind of tell like the not authentic Instagram accounts and the ones that are just sort of using the generic posting, and that's quite easy to see through. And for a lot of people in 2020, like that's how they value their trust. You asked a really good second question. I can't remember what it was.
About, do you feel like you're getting asked those questions about how, you're having the same conversations that they're going through, so you got that relatability?
I think one of the most poignant conversations I've had this year was with Aaron when we were on Zoom, I think, or FaceTime, and I was quite upset. Like, and I said to Aaron, I'm taking some time off Instagram because I've had some really nasty comments online, like as my following is growing. I've had people sort of, and I'm a very private person, and that's the best way to describe it. I'm a very private person, and actually by putting yourself out there on social media, you're almost unintentionally inviting people to have an opinion on what it is that you're doing. And some people had commented some really horrible things on my Instagram profile, and Aaron was like, whoa. You specialize in working with influencers. This just gives you a handle and a segue and an open door to be able to say to the clients that you're working with, like, I understand. I've had people attack me online, and how do you deal with it? And that adds a personal element into what we're doing. And that is actually just connecting with people as individuals. So it was actually Aaron that said, by doing this and by opening yourself up to that, you're actually just creating a more solid business in that you understand your clients' pain points and the parts of this business that aren't that nice. So
exactly. And if you'd have outsourced that, you wouldn't have had any idea of that aspect of it, would you? So yeah, no, brilliant. And continue what you're doing, because it really is really good. So you went through the first question, didn't you, Ash? That was the martyrs question. Did you cover both of that? Sorry, I was obviously overheating apparently. So
yeah, I think I covered both of those in one.
Wonderful.
I think it's just a question from Kirsty, which we may have sort of covered.
Hi, Kirsty. So higher, less of a QuickBooks question this time. I follow Accountant Sheet and Boffics on Instagram.
Oh,
well, I can understand why you follow Accountant Sheet. I'm not sure about the Boffics one myself, but more the merrier. I wonder if you had any tips on using social media for business. So have you got any tips for Kirsty there, Rachel?
So I think the top ones that we said earlier were being authentic. I think in terms of like adding a good, almost professional looking level to your Instagram, there's a lot that you can do for free. And I wish someone said this to me before I started, because I think I wasted quite a lot of time. Like, there's lots of free softwares like Canva that you can use, and I see quite a lot of clients paying for the professional version when actually, if you're quite tech savvy, you can get around a lot of the barriers and actually not pay for Canva. So spoiler, I have never paid for anything that I use to grow or use my social media. So I've never paid for Canva. I have a little preset that I use to put on all of my pictures to make them sort of, even if there's different backgrounds and I'm wearing different things, it aesthetically makes them look quite similar. So it's quite aesthetically pleasing. And just have a color palette of a couple of different, like 2-3 complementary colors that you use together. And that's my social media strategy.
That's the secret sauce just there.
Don't pay
what
for
you
it.
wear. Brilliant. No, that's fantastic. And I think you're right. I think it's about having that consistency. It's that brand now, isn't it? We talk about brand so much, and it's one of those questions where, and everyone thinks it's just your logo, but there's so much more to it. And if you can get that consistent brand going through, and the more influence, the more content you consume, the more you'll start picking up on it as well. And that's what I've been doing. I've been watching people who are successful in that field and go, well, what are they doing that's, and then you start seeing it, that they are purple in every scene, and they have, and it's that sort of thing, and you start building that up. So yeah, it's just
start before you're ready.
Yeah.
Firstly, and secondly, focus on the quality of the content rather than what you're paying for, what software you're using. Like, focus on the content and make sure that is the best. So the captions and like, does this post directly fuel the outcome that I want from my social media channel? If not, don't post it. Like, no one wants to see pictures of my cat, and that's not fueling my Instagram strategy. So if like set up some different pots, so it could be client engagement, new clients, and tax tips. If your Instagram post does not fall into one of those categories, it's not serving your long-term social media goals, don't post it.
Definitely. And then my one final tip that I learned at the very beginning is don't just pay for some software that posts to all platforms at the same time and think you've nailed Instagram. Nailed social, should I say. So I genuinely walked away going, got this sorted. And just press post.
I'm an influencer now.
Done it. Yeah. That's it.
It doesn't work. I've done exactly the same.
Or if a client calls you and says, "Can I chat to you about what you've just posted?" and you're like, "Yes."
Where? So each one of those platforms is going to be talking to a different type of client. So you'll learn it through time. You'll figure it out, but concentrate on one at a time. And try and nail that one instead of just going post and hope for the best, because it does not work. I can tell you from experience.
It's called content vomiting.
Is that what it's called? Is it? Oh, it's got a name now.
Oh, it's now called content vomiting.
And I started the trend, so hopefully it's in the dictionary one day. Brilliant. All right, fantastic. And I think with that, is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about? Anyone wants to bring in?
I just noticed your branded T-shirt. Is there anything on the back of it? Can we have a twirl?
Have you not seen? We are.
That's great.
Ash is wearing his as well. Although
I've not got mine on today. Actually,
you're not supposed to say that, Ash.
Sorry, I'm too honest. They don't call me Honest Ash for nothing.
So with that then, just to thank you for everyone who has come along, and thank you for everyone who's put their questions in the question bank. It's been really useful to get those people coming. Remember, if you do want to interact live with us, then it's 4 p.m. on every other Tuesday. Again, time permitting, we might be changing that at some point, but keep an eye on the social channels to find out more. And with that, then I think that's pretty much it. One thing I will say, though, when we were going through that section about the new update to QuickBooks and how QuickBooks has come in and all those new changes, then keep an eye out on all 3 of our YouTube channels, because I can guarantee that we will cover them in here. And obviously keep an eye on this channel as well. Keep an eye on QuickBooks Labs. We'll be talking about it the second that stuff hits the UK. So Ash, anything else that we should know about?
Only that if you should join us in 2 weeks' time, it will be 15th of December. We may have a slightly longer break over Christmas, but our next session will be 15th of December, same time, 4 p.m. GMT. I think that's 10 a.m. At US time somewhere, and many different time zones. So I'm sure if you want to join us, but it's at 4 p.m. GMT.
Brilliant. Thank you. And a big thank you for Rachel for being our special guest for today. She has come along and dazzled us with some knowledge. So thank you very much, Rachel.
Yes, thank you, Rachel.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem at all. And with that, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Awkwardly, I am trying to find the outro. So everyone wave just a little bit while I... Thank you very much.
Actually,
see ya.